All right, so welcome back to another episode of the More Than Outdoors podcast, the podcast where we talk about the people, places, and passions that drive Maine's outdoor recreation economy. I'm one of your hosts, Austin French.
I'm Sam Andrews.
And today we have another special guest in this lineup. We just keep having heavy hitter after heavy hitter. And so today we're joined by Kristina Cannon over at Main Street Skowhegan. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and hanging out with us.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, totally.
It's nice to be in your space and be surrounded by outdoor gear and bikes and paddleboards and life jackets, and it's nice. We're not outside today, sadly.
Yeah, we are not outside today, unfortunately. I don't know what it is about Gear Library episodes, but it is the only two times we have been inside. We had the main Gear Share one, and then this one now. But hey, sometimes weather doesn't cooperate, but yet we still want to get this content out to all of you. So we're making it happen. So, Kristina, probably where it would be helpful to kind of just start off, we ask all of our guests, how did you end up in the outdoor recreation industry for your career?
That's a great question. So I have a marketing background, and I was in Boston for a while, but I grew up 20 minutes north of Skowhegan. So, was always on the water, always in the woods. And when I took this job 10 years ago at Main Street Skowhegan, we did a strategic planning initiative with the community, and we wanted to hear what they wanted to see for Skowhegan over the next 10 years. And over and over again, we kept hearing our natural resource economy. We got to do something with that river. Oh, what about that river park idea that's been in the works for like 20 years? It hadn't been that many at that time. And so we kind of like latched onto this idea through the finalized strategic plan of making outdoor recreation an area of focus for the organization. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of really launched even my personal hobbies even more so into the outdoor world also. So now I'm a big mountain biker, a whitewater stand-up paddleboarder, because I figured I couldn't lead a whitewater park project and not know anything about whitewater. So, and a big shout out to Mike Smith for that, because he taught me to whitewater. And then, backpacking. So yeah, that's how my professional and personal interests have all kind of culminated in this new world of me and my outdoor recreation passions.
Cool.
So.
It's funny, the first time we actually met was mountain biking.
That's right.
I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
Maine Outdoor Brands had their Outdoor Economy Summit, and they had these experiences, and I think it was in the Bethel Community Woods, or
I think the community forest.
Yeah, the community forest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was my first time ever mountain biking there, and I remember feeling super intimidated. And then I saw you, and I was like, okay, I think I have a good person here to kind of be near me to make this feel. Just there weren't a lot of women there, and so. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that's awesome. I'm also getting into mountain biking. I think we chatted about that when we first met. So.
Yeah. And there's definitely no shame in the game of pushing your bike, which is I did plenty on that ride. I was I'm not riding down that steep trail. That's pretty hard.
Oh my gosh, no shame. That is such an aggressive mountain biking area for somebody who's getting into it. But it's impressive, all the work that they've done out there. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so maybe we can go back to what is Skowhegan Outdoors, and kind of what are you driving right now?
Sure. Well, I'm driving a Jeep Wrangler. Yeah. So Skowhegan Outdoors is a program of Main Street Skowhegan. And Main Street Skowhegan is a 501c3 working to revitalize Skowhegan. And, under that umbrella, we have the Skowhegan Outdoors AmeriCorps program officially, and we have the Skowhegan Center for Entrepreneurship as two of our primary programs. And so we're really, through the strategic planning effort that I mentioned earlier, we're really focused on outdoor recreation as a tool for community transformation. And then we're also focused on business and entrepreneurial support. And that really takes a lens of food economy and food incubation, food entrepreneurship, all the things. So those are kind of the two areas of focus. And then, of course, the River Park falls kind of under that, Skowhegan Outdoors umbrella, even more so than it used to. Skowhegan Center for Entrepreneurship, Skowhegan River Park, Skowhegan Outdoors. Skowhegan.
Yeah, so many programs that are kind of adding to make the mission happen here, right? Mm-hmm. So what is the mission of Skowhegan Outdoors?
The mission of Skowhegan Outdoors is to just get everyone in the community access, in the region, frankly, access to the outdoors. Main Street's overarching mission is to revitalize the area. So, yeah.
through like your community programming, your gear lending library, and then beyond, it seems like all the things that you just listed.
Yeah, economic development, community development, some workforce development, placemaking, all the things. We're doing a little bit of everything. So
yeah, it's pretty cool to see it. I joined one of your programs a couple months at the beginning of the summer, I think it was, and we just took a walk and kind of walked over the bridge and walked along the river here, and I met a few people from the community, and I was talking to them and just saying, like, do you do this often? Do you come to these programs? They're like, it's just such a good way to get outside and meet other people who live close by, and it's a really great resource that we have. And so it was just, it was a really cool thing. Like, nobody was planted to tell me that. Like, it was like a real live Skowhegan resident who was attending your programs.
Nice.
And it was really neat to see the resources you have right in the backyard here too of the gear library.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's been so cool because now, like, I mean, you and I have been connected for probably 2 years or so now, and like even just in that time, being able to watch so much of the evolution that has come through all of the different projects. Because, like, I mean, I know, like, you and I got connected because of Gabe over at Central Maine, or he was at Central Maine Growth Council at the time, and like that connection was just like, hey, I think there's some really cool stuff here, that there's probably some overlay between what's happening at Main Street and what could be happening in collaboration with UMF and the Orbit program and all that kind of stuff. So it's been so much fun to be a partner in all of that, as so many of these things are like really starting to take off. You know, and now we got a bunch of other stuff that's like kind of in the pipeline too. So that's always fun.
Yeah, I think we're gonna talk about it later.
Potentially.
Hope so.
You know, so you mentioned you kind of have like the Center for Entrepreneurship. You have Skowhegan Outdoors, obviously, where we're hanging out today. But you brought up the River Park, right? Which, as you mentioned earlier, has been something that has been a conversation for a really, really long time. You know, and I think you guys are making a lot of really cool steps in the right direction with that project. So, for us, you know, for those of us who don't live it and breathe it every single day, like, what is the River Park project to you all?
Sure. So the River Park project is it's so many things, and really the vision has expanded far beyond, I think, what anyone would have imagined in like the early 2000s when the town first kind of came up with this idea. So and I think it's important to note, and before I actually, like, you know, get everyone really excited talking about what it is and the full vision, because I think there's some good timeline and history behind this that I think should probably be presented, you know, people should know. And so, like, this was an early 2000s idea by the town folk, or people at the town who wanted to see us use our river for something, you know, meaningful. And our river for so long has been this great industrial asset because we had mills perched on the riverbank. We used to harvest ice out of it. Even before that, the Wabanaki would fish the river. So it's really been our lifeblood for so long, but it's just sitting there right now, with not much happening, you know. And of course we have the dams and we have fishing, but like there is not a ton of recreation happening in our gorge. So the town really wanted to make something happen. So they, in 2004, commissioned a feasibility study, and it was determined through that study that we could put a river park in, or a whitewater park, as people call them around the country. And from there, it was kind of a multi-year process. The next thing that happened, I think they put in the DB River Walk. And then in 2014, they did a preliminary design study. So there was the first iteration of what the river park would look like. And then in 2015, we came in and we heard from people through that strategic planning process. We talked to more than 500 people, and they were like, yes, River Park, which was called Run of River at the time, we really want to see that come to fruition. And so we decided as an organization that we really needed to step in and really help, because the town just had a volunteer committee working on this. And so this was a project that was in the comprehensive plan. It was in, part of the project is in the Riverfront Renaissance Plan from 1999. And so over and over and over again, the town folk have like voted on this and committed themselves to it. And so we were like, we really need to help make sure this project comes to fruition. So from 2015 to now, there's been an economic impact study. Then there's been another one that was done recently and just came out last Friday. And we are in final design, and we are we've finalized final design. Permitting is done, and we've really expanded the vision to what it is today. Are you guys ready for the vision? That was a really long
Drum
Let
roll,
it rip.
please.
The history buffs appreciate it, okay?
Yeah.
They're like writing down all their dates.
Right, exactly. Multiple town meetings. Yeah. But this really started as a plan for just a whitewater paddling park in the gorge. And so I think a lot of people think it's a whitewater park for rafting. And sure, you can put your raft in there, but it's only going to be a half-mile stretch. And so if you really want to raft, you should go north to the Forks. So it's going to be it was planning to be a paddle park, right? And we were going to the plan is to have 3 waves eventually. And right now, so in 2017, we decided that we would actually add an adjustable wave feature, because in other parts of the country, river surfing has become like the thing. Lower barrier to entry. It doesn't take as much knowledge of whitewater. Like, you get out on your surfboard or your bodyboard and you go, and you don't need to roll your kayak, So anyways, we are now working towards building our first phase of the whitewater park, which will be that adjustable surf and kayak wave, as I just mentioned. And so we'll be able to actually adjust the wave based on whatever flow of water is coming out of the dam, or if there's not a dam there. And so we'll still be able to use this wave feature regardless of the water flow. And so we're pretty excited about that. We've been planning for a long time this adjustability piece. And so people will be able to surf and kayak right in our downtown river gorge. And we've added to this vision because we didn't think that it was fair for us to assume that everyone was going to want a whitewater. So like, what is the real community benefit from all of this? And so we've added this plan for a boardwalk, which really came from 1999's Riverfront Renaissance Plan. A boardwalk, which will be really a place for people to gather and hang out, and there will be activities for people as part of it. We're also working with partners around the trail system. And we, of course, created this great program called Skowhegan Outdoors and this gear library. And so really this comprehensive vision of getting people outside, access to the river, access to our trails, improving the access into the gorge, and getting people active and perhaps healthier in our community, while also impacting the economy and figuring out how to work with our youth to inspire them to be, maybe stay in the community also is all part of that, and enjoy, what we have to offer. So
totally. Well, and the surfing component is so interesting to me, because I don't think a lot of people think Maine and they're like surfing. But down at the Outdoor Economy Conference, I spent a lot of time with Liz Duffy from Maine Outdoor Brands, and she just like completely blew my mind wide open to the surfing industry in Maine. And so I think it's really cool that we can take this, what a lot of folks would think is sort of a non-traditional outdoor rec activity within our state. And now you're giving someone access to it that doesn't live on the coast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think, and that's huge when you're talking about a place like Maine, where there's so much acreage in terms of where people live, and there's only so much coastline, right? So how do we continue to find out, we are dealing with these challenges in so many different places throughout the state, where how do you spread out that demand for getting to certain areas? And this is the kind of stuff that does that practically.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So
I can't wait to boogie board.
I know.
Yep.
I'm I want to bring my boogie board to the park.
Yeah.
And also the boardwalk brings this element of bystanders being able to go and watch and be active and walk along. And I've seen some of the plans and the sketches for the area, and it just gets me really excited because it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And I mean, even walking it now, it's beautiful. There's a paved walkway that goes all the way down to the plant that's down there.
Yes.
And the beautiful plant. There's one in every town, it seems.
Yes.
But there are also those mountain biking trails that so are you going to revitalize those, or are those already kind of a piece of this puzzle that have been created and built?
Yeah, great question. And in fact, that's one of the partnerships that working with Somerset Woods trustees and the town. And so Main Street got some Cora grant money from the state to help work on final design of that trail system back there,
Awesome.
So the Philbrook trails.
Yeah.
So we're pretty excited about that. And in partnership with the 3 organizations, we're really going to be able to, I think, see those trails come to life out back. So, and then the DV Trail, of course, is beautiful. And so we're excited to see that just like continue to be used even more. And then the boardwalk itself, which will be on this side of the river, which will be on the downtown side, is really going to be such a great connection between the river and our commercial district, which will, I think, add more opportunity and more reason for people to want to come downtown and shop at our businesses.
I think the piece that's really interesting about that particular component that you're bringing up is, I know in conversations with you and some of the other members of your team, you've kind of talked about this want to like allow the community to re-embrace with this incredible like resource that you have access to. So like, how do you envision this project sort of being that helpful turning point, if you want to call it that, where like now all of a sudden the community becomes that much more engaged with this thing that has been here the whole time, and it's really running right down the center of everything.
Yeah.
You know?
If you were to walk out next to the Old Mill Pub now, out that door where we're sitting here on the back of the base camp, I mean, you can see the river and it's beautiful, but you may have to go like this because there's a bunch of like tree branches in your way because we don't do a great job of like maintaining the riverfront. There's chain link fence, which is not, ideal. There are dumpsters back here. And frankly, like we could do a better job of maintaining this area to make it better now. But I think that the boardwalk is going to be a whole new world for us of like what's going to draw more people. It's just going to be the opportunity or the incentive for people to face the river. So I think that the boardwalk is going to be the catalyst for all that. And frankly, I don't know if people really realize how amazing it's going to be. And when we go to construction for the first phase of that, which is probably going to actually happen sooner than the river park itself. So I think people are really going to want to embrace this asset. And don't get me wrong, we need parking. So we're not getting rid of parking. Like, we're not getting rid of parking. It's very important for people to know. I know everyone cares very much about parking. We will still have parking back here. But we're also going to have a beautiful boardwalk as well. And, this will be an opportunity or a place for us to actually host major events and festivals too. So people will be able to do freestyle like competitions on the wave, surf competitions. People are actually going to come up from the coast to surf on our wave. I've heard people talk about this. In fact, a guy from Higgins Beach reached out recently and was like, hey, I'm coming to the wave when you build it. Let me know. So we'll have competitions. The boardwalk will be the primary viewing site. And yeah, it's just going to be amazing.
That's awesome.
So it seems like you've had some pushback with the change or the change that you're proposing from the town, or where is that coming from?
So I think that people need to remember that this is a town project, a town idea, and Main Street is frankly coming to the rescue. So we've raised a boatload of money, more than $7 million for this project alone. And we are, because we have a $5 million EDA grant specifically for the Whitewater Park, and we wrote that grant. And we have a $2 million CDS grant, thank you, Senator Collins and Senator King, for the boardwalk. And so I think it's really important for people to remember that, like, yeah, the town has voted on this multiple times, and Main Street is just making it happen. And so, like, I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding about the project. And so I hope this podcast will help people learn more, because I think we've got a bunch of stuff on the website, but people don't always want to read stuff. So maybe this is the venue for people to learn more about this project.
I'm so guilty of being that person. I do not read like anything.
Like, I just want to listen to it and hear what's going on. Yeah. And it's really cool to see that it's more than just this river park, right? Like, I mean, I love the gear library model, and we just recently had that podcast with Maine Gear Share, and just there's so many ways for the community to engage with what you are all doing, and going on those walks that I mentioned earlier, coming here and reserving a paddleboard and a life jacket to go out on, maybe going to Lake George and paddling on their lake. So yeah, I just think that that's a beautiful thing, and it's more than this big change that's coming, and you're creating this more like holistic change to the town that I hope more people are excited to engage in. And it's interesting to hear people struggling with the change, but there are also so many people who are cheering you on.
Yeah, totally.
And who, like, this is really well known what you're doing, because you've done such a good job telling the story, and you have to be able to get the funding. So knowing that there are definitely people out there who are having a hard time with that change, but that there are a lot of people who are like, this is going to be awesome, and we hope that this is repeatable in other areas in the U.S. It seems like what we were talking about before the podcast started.
Yeah.
Of like, this happens elsewhere, and how cool that it's happening here in Maine, and this is the first one that's happening here. So
Yeah.
kudos.
And it's really, I think it's more than just, there are going to be more impacts than just to Skowhegan.
Yeah.
This is going to be regionally and statewide important, you know, especially if we're looking at what the future means without dams in the river. You know, there is really a need for us to think about what our economy needs to do and how it needs to change in order to be able to accommodate that loss of income from the dams. And so, like, as we think about that, we need to double down on outdoor recreation as a tool for economic development. And so this river park has now become exponentially more important as it relates to the changes in the river. And so, that being said, you know, it's going to not only impact Skowhegan, but it's going to impact the region. And, you know, Carol Ann will tell you there's statewide impacts also. And so, which totally, you know, it totally is the case. And I've done a lot of speaking around the country around this project, and because it's become such a comprehensive vision, and it's not just about putting a wave in the river. We've got programming, we've got a gear library, you know, we're making sure that all residents have the opportunity to be near the river on this great ADA accessible boardwalk. You know, it's really become this like much larger project than I think any of us ever realized it would be. You know, a couple $1 million wave park, you know, was the original plan. Now we're looking at much more than that.
Yeah, there's a huge ripple effect from all the work that you're putting in. So tell me about the team that supports Main Street Skowhegan.
Sure, yeah. So we have a pretty big team these days. So we have, of course, our office admin staff, operations staff. We have our director of entrepreneurship, Patrick, who is really spearheading our new Kitchen at 185 project, which is around food entrepreneurship. It'll be our shared use commercial kitchen space, which we can talk about on another podcast episode, not about outdoor rec. But then we also have our great Skowhegan Outdoors team led by Amber Alvey, and we're excited that her team is actually going to grow next year with our AmeriCorps. We have more AmeriCorps funding coming in, at least for next year. So that means we can enroll more AmeriCorps members. So right now we're looking at about 10 and a half AmeriCorps positions with this fancy AmeriCorps math that they do. But yeah, so we'll have some part-time staff for the summer to do more outdoor programs where we do more generally in the summer. And we're also going to have perhaps some people that'll be part of this cool partnership that we're spearheading with UMF. So under the Career Pathway Program.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. I'm actually I'm talking about it at a conference tomorrow. So that
Sweet.
will be that'll be good. And yeah, I mean, I think that piece I'm so excited about, because I think about, like, okay, you have all of the things that you're doing in addition to like the river park eventually coming online, right? And I think about it from like a workforce development perspective, like what better access to resources when it comes to like having the tools at your disposal to actually train you in skills that make you extremely marketable in the workplace. You know, and being able to work with you all, and like I'll give Amber a lot of credit, like in terms of a lot of the design behind this whole canoe program that we're building out. Let's see if I can remember the acronym: Career Access Through National Service and Outdoor Education.
Good job.
So like,
Don't leave me hanging here.
Sorry, I had to refocus my thought. But with that, like, that allows so much opportunity, not only for you all to envision like how are we getting more people working with the gear library, but then what does it look like to maybe get those people exposed to, if there's more training that they want, being able to have that direct admit process to be able to come to UMF and go through the Orbit program and all those kinds of things. So.
Yeah. I mean, what's going to be better than having programming, hands-on experience, the gear, the infrastructure, the trails? It's like, yeah, it's going to be an amazing hub for outdoor rec. And, you know, like Central Maine, you know, Waterville, Skowhegan, Farmington, we're going to be the place to be for outdoor rec, frankly.
Totally.
I'm
Yes,
biased,
we are.
but, you know.
The hub.
The hub, baby.
The hub.
The hub of excellence.
So it's kind of cool. We have are they AmeriCorps members that just walked in?
Mm-hmm.
Coming in after a program that they just did. So what they mentioned Reach. Is that
Yep.
is that a new program?
So we have been working with the after school program called Reach for years now, for many years.
Oh wow!
So in fact, like that probably was one of the first partnerships that we made. And so their director Dawn is awesome, and we send our team over a couple of days a week after school to work with middle school and elementary school age kids. So which
That's
is awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
And then you also do programming for the local community to learn. Like I almost took one of your intro to whitewater paddling classes. So what are some of the other classes that you have kind of maybe moving forward in the next few months or just on the docket?
Yeah. Gosh. So we did have some really, really exciting whitewater paddling stuff this summer. And we really upped our game when it came to youth experiential opportunities. And so we had whitewater kayaking level 1 and level 2 for high school age youth, both of which were sold out, even though they were free. So, but they were at capacity free. And we provided transportation and food and all of the gear and all of the facilitation. So it was a really great program, both of them. And then we did a mountain biking program as well. Same idea, all food, all transportation. And then, we also do cool stuff for just general community to, it doesn't matter your age. And so we did another whitewater thing there. You can see the theme, how it relates to the river park for sure. Creating more opportunities for people to learn how to eventually use the river park. But then we do things like yoga, outdoor yoga, and our youth programming after school. And then we are working with a charter school also. I think every couple of Wednesdays we're doing some sort of outdoor program with them on Wednesday morning. So, and then this fall we're doing some things like outdoor movie nights. I think a creepy Halloween movie just to just for funsies.
Naturally.
So
yeah, that's great. I feel like that's the way to kind of make outdoor recreation accessible to all, is just to diversify the programs, and it doesn't always have to be learning how to roll a kayak.
No.
But it can be just spend time outside and watch a movie.
Yeah.
And just be outside with other people from your community, and what a great way to connect with other people from the community. So
well, and I'm sure you've seen this from a participation perspective. Sometimes it's run the outdoor movie so that way they come to a program and they're familiar with what then they have access to, and then they find themselves on the mountain biking trail or whatever the other program is.
It's absolutely that's totally true. Even at all of our Main Street type events, we are doing outdoor rec things that then helps grow awareness for the program. So which we've seen has grown exponentially over the years. So we have we're doing 1,500 youth experiences a year, 250 programs a year. I think we're 2,500 participants pretty much annually. I actually expect that number is going to be bigger this year. So that was a more recent number, or a last year number. So yeah, we're really seeing a lot of growth. And yeah, it's a lot about just offering it's either some hardcore niche adventure opportunity, or it's more of the community walk, or Matt Kay is our high intensity interval training outdoor guy, and so he does all sorts of fun stuff with running and trail running too. So yeah, there's all sorts of different things we're doing. Yeah,
get people moving and using the outdoors for their mental and physical health. That's
so
what
important.
I'm all about.
Yes, 100% you are.
That's great. Is there anything on the horizon that we should know about?
Well, I think that this is where we're going to talk about canoe. That's what I want to talk about.
That's great.
Okay,
Let's
cool.
do it.
Let's do it. Okay.
I'll cut the whole first part of it right out.
I know, it's okay. I think that so we're pretty excited about all the things that are happening, and I think the new, not new because we've been working on it now for 2 years, but I think what we're getting ready to launch in 2026 through the career pathway program that we're working on is going to be amazing. So Amber and Austin really have been working together to bring this to life, the canoe program that was mentioned earlier, and so really providing opportunities for either youth coming right out of the Career and Technical Center or right out of high school to be able to get into this world of outdoor rec and really learn the technical skills or the business and grant writing skills, whichever side they're most interested in. And then, so not only have experiential learning and modules, as Amber's calling them, to give them these skill sets. They'll have certifications that they'll come out with, and to boot, they'll be making they'll be networking, they'll be making connections in the outdoor rec space, which is growing in Maine, as we know, and then they're going to be able to come out of those programs with credits to UMF and with automatic matriculation into the Orba program.
Yeah.
So like we're all very stoked about this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, well, and I think about, you know, in the countless iterations that we've had of like, okay, what if we tweak this thing and let's move this thing over here and like we can do this. It can be refined just a little bit more. Like I really just think about how much of an impact that I see this program being able to have, where this thing doesn't exist. You know what I mean? And when you're talking about, you know, I mean, I know I've said this to you all like 1,000 times. If they go through this program and they come to UMF, awesome. We will welcome them with open arms and make sure that they are as prepared as they possibly can be when they leave our doors, right? But even for the person who goes through the program and decides, I'm going straight into the workforce, think about what they now have not only the access to in terms of all of the experiential learning and the like getting exposed to this type of operation and understanding how those things work, but also you're now going into whatever your first like big job was going to be with a totally different headspace in terms of like that whole, I talk a lot about this like curiosity to competency to confidence, like this cycle that we have to get people into, right? And so that's where this program really lies. And now if we're building in so many of these different competencies into all these modules, right? The level of confidence that now that person who's coming out and going into the industry and saying like, I'm ready to make my impact now, you know, that's going to like speed up the process in terms of like us seeing overall growth in the outdoor recreation economy way more than almost any other thing I feel like I'm involved in, you know what I mean? And so I think just finding more ways to engage with that population in particular and say like, hey, I don't know what someone else has said to you about careers in the outdoors, but like, let me tell you, they're there. And we're going to show you all of those different things. Right. Like I get so jazzed up about that stuff. You know?
I feel jazzed up about this. I don't think I really like heard about it or have learned, you know, what's coming up.
Yeah. It's really cool. You know, and for us, like from the university perspective, a lot of it is, you know, kind of looking at higher education in a way more non-traditional lens, right?
Because, yeah, that's how I got into it. Yeah. That's how I ended up at UMF. It's like, this program sounds like my life experience that brought me to UMF to get my degree in outdoor recreation, business administration.
Totally.
So,
and hypothetically, we're going to do it in like 24 weeks.
Right. Versus what, 6 years?
Yeah. You know. So I think there's so much potential behind that program, and I think like I hope that between this podcast, but also like the countless other ways that we're going to just try to really drive home the messaging on this, that like it's something that yes, we're going to start it here and we're going to pilot it and it's going to be awesome. But I also really want to start to look at like what do the other versions of this then look like, where we can take this model and replicate it, right? Like, because there's no reason that like Bethel shouldn't also have this opportunity, right?
Or like Washington County Community
Washington
College.
County, Millinocket,
yeah.
Right? You know, there are so many of these communities that like we can't get them all here to Skowhegan Outdoors so that way they can do this stuff necessarily. So then it starts to figure out like, okay, how do we scale this thing? Because there's a lot of impact potential, right? Which if we want to go off of goal 4 in the roadmap, right, everything is about like, how do we build out not only the workforce that's coming into sort of this next generation of the outdoor recreation economy, but how are we actually doing it in a structured like programming perspective, so that way that training is happening at a really high level, you know. So
what are the details around this program? When does it become live? Can any student in Maine do this? Do you know the answers to these questions?
We know some of the answers to these questions. So tentatively, first cohort will be June of 2026.
Yeah.
Great.
So basically, right as those students walk across the stage at their own graduation.
High school graduation.
Yep. Thank you for clarifying. Right as they walk across the stage for their high school graduation, they can enroll directly into this program and go straight into a workforce development, like program model.
And then it would be, you said 6 weeks, so it would be...
more than
26 weeks? Roughly?
24-ish weeks, somewhere in there.
Okay, right. So it would go into fall
Yeah.
and winter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And beyond.
We already have 2 people that we've identified as going to be as being part of our first cohort, so that's
Great.
pretty exciting. And they're one is currently a Skowhegan Outdoors AmeriCorps member, and one is joining the team this fall. And so they're already going to be kind of tied in, and so they're going to be even more ready to go and back out into the workforce after this. So, and they're local students that graduated from local high schools.
Yeah.
That's
which is
amazing.
awesome.
I was
So-
going to say, this is a great thing to share with Teens to Trails teachers. And,
Totally.
Mhm.
I will be talking about it tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
Good.
Well, and I think the other piece too is like, I mean, I think we would be remiss in saying like a lot of this, because of how we've kind of built this pilot. Right now, we're kind of focused on like Skowhegan, Franklin County kind of areas, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that like Skowhegan Savings was one of the first organizations that jumped in on the funding side, and we're like, hey, we really want to support this, so. I mean, they're $50,000 in to say like, hey, let's make sure that these students can go through this program, and whether it's the actual cost of the programs themselves or all the certifications that are like built into that curriculum, like we know that that's a barrier for a lot of us that work in the outdoor industry, right?
Mhm.
So they are hopefully just the first of many partners that are going to be tied into this as well. Because like I would love to see, Amber would probably kill me if I said this out loud, but I would love to see like 50 people a year going through that program, just in Skowhegan.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
And so, obviously we got a lot of work to get to that point, right?
The dreamer.
Yeah.
I'm always
It's
the
okay.
dreamer. I am always.
I'm just like pulling him back down to earth sometimes.
Good luck. Good luck.
Or I'm up there floating with him.
Yeah. So yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to see that all roll out and unfold. Is there anything else you want to share? Because we can jump into our rapid fire questions.
Just one more note. I want to reemphasize the support of Skowhegan Savings Bank, because Amber and I were just talking about the budget this morning to get people through this, like the training opportunities, and our goal is to make it coverable, at least for the first cohort, like under that Skowhegan Savings Bank scholarship money. And so like we want people to come in. They're going to get paid through the AmeriCorps program to do the work of it, if you will, and then they're going to be able to have their cost of their trainings and their certifications come out of it for free. And then they're also going to get an education award through the AmeriCorps program that will then help them pay for additional future education opportunities,
Whoa.
potentially at UMF. So there's really a lot of reason why people should take advantage of it, especially this first year. But I'm hoping we'll see more people, more businesses like jump in to help support these programs and the students that want to go through them in the future.
That's amazing.
We already.
I wish I was
We have
like, I could
plans.
rewind and be in high school to go through that program. That
Mhm.
sounds awesome.
Totally.
Well done.
I think it's time. I think we're voices from the summit.
Voices from the gear room.
Yeah, voices from the gear room.
The gear library, I should say.
I don't even think I can realistically say that we're at a summit. I think we're at like one of the lowest points in Skowhegan.
We're right next to the gorge. Yeah. I mean, if you want to be in the gorge, we're
Yeah.
just barely.
Yeah. We're at the summit of the gorge head wall.
Yeah.
So just kind of rapid fire questions. Try to keep things light and fun with a little bit of some twists in there too. So of course we have to start with all the important things. Sweet or savory? What's your snack vibe?
Potato chips.
Okay, 10-4.
Yeah.
Savory it is.
Yes. Or cheese. Actually, cheese is really the winner. Savory.
I love cheese. Favorite way to recharge outside?
Walking my dog.
It's amazing how much those dogs just like fill our batteries up.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah.
It's the best. Describe the future of Maine's outdoor recreation economy in one word.
Opportunity. I think I said it like 100 times in this interview.
Yes, it's fine. But it's the truth.
It is.
Favorite Skowhegan event or festival?
It's a tough one. I really do love Brewfest as a craft beer enthusiast. It goes so well with mountain biking and other outdoor activities. So I feel like I have to say the craft Brewfest.
Totally.
Mhm.
That's awesome. So this one, I will admit, it's a little bit deeper, but it is the last one, so take the time you need. If someone brand new to Skowhegan asked you, why here? What's your answer?
I really think the people. There's a great group of it's a growing group of people that are really invested in Skowhegan and really invested in the future of what this place could be. And it's just really kind of brought this new energy and vibe to this community. So we've got a lot going for us.
Booyah. All right. Well, just like that, we're at the end of this episode. So don't worry. I know all of you are thinking after this conversation, I gotta check out more about Main Street Skowhegan and Skowhegan Outdoors and the River Park and all these things. We will make sure all of the social handles are in the episode descriptions, along with you'll be tagged in everything that we do related to this episode. But other than that, I think we're at the point where we just say, we'll see you outside.
See you outside.